If you're hooked on political drama with real consequences, make sure you subscribe and click the bell now, because the latest twist in the Jacob Zuma saga just exploded, and you'll want every update. The former president Jacob Zuma is defending himself in a controversy that sounds almost surreal. His lawyers now argue that he is too broke to repay R28.9 million in state-funded legal costs. Yes, that's millions in South African rands, demanded from Zuma for the expenses the state paid during his corruption trial. And now his legal team is telling the High Court that he has no means to settle the bill. This all began when the state attorney and the presidency demanded that Zuma reimburse the public funds used to cover his defense in the State versus Zuma corruption trial. They say he should refund the R28.96 million, arguing that the taxpayer has a right to recoup money used for legal representation in a case in which Zuma faced serious allegations. But in response, Zuma's lawyers made a striking claim: he lacks the financial capacity to pay. Even with a pension, they argued, he cannot satisfy that large debt. Zuma's team contends that attempting to force him to repay would be impractical and punitive. They argue that no court can realistically extract such large sums from someone who does not possess the assets or income. In effect, they are positioning Zuma as financially insolvent in the eyes of the law, a former heavyweight political actor now painted as unable to fulfill a monetary judgment. Critics and observers have not held back in their reaction. Some see this defense as shockingly audacious, in effect an attempt to dodge accountability under the cloak of poverty. Others warn it may set a dangerous precedent, that powerful individuals, after years of benefiting from state privileges, can simply claim insolvency to evade financial responsibility. Let's look at the stakes. If the court accepts Zuma's argument, he might avoid the repayment entirely or negotiate a drastically reduced amount. That would be a huge blow to public confidence in equality before the law. On the other hand, if the court rejects his claim, it could order enforcement actions, seizing assets, garnishing future income, or other measures to force repayment. The latter would deepen legal entanglements and public scrutiny. This case also comes at a politically sensitive time. Zuma remains a controversial figure, with deep support in some quarters and fierce opposition in others. Throughout his presidency, his trials, and his post-presidency life, questions of accountability, state capture, and corruption have dogged his name. A court ruling that he must pay, or that he can't, will be incendiary either way. One twist to this is the optics. A man who once held the highest office in the land now claims he's financially unable to return public funds. That narrative alone will fuel endless debate and media commentary on corruption, privilege, power, and justice in South Africa. Meanwhile, this drama also tests the courts. Judges must balance legal principles of debt, restitution, fairness, and enforceability. They must weigh whether Zuma's claim of inability is genuine or strategic. If the judiciary sides with Zuma, critics will cry leniency. If it sides with the state, Zuma's defenders will call it political persecution. Whichever way it goes, the fight will be fought in legal briefs, courtrooms, and in the minds of citizens. What to watch next? Motions and affidavits filed by both sides, the judges' rulings on whether Zuma's insolvency claim is credible, potential appeals, and whether the state or presidency push for enforcement. If enforcement moves begin, asset freezes, liens, etc., that will make headlines of their own. This is not a dry legal battle. It's a symbolic fight over power, accountability, wealth, and justice in South Africa. Zuma's claim, if accepted, could alter how we understand the limits of prosecuting state officials. If dismissed, it could reaffirm that no one is above the law. Stay tuned, we'll bring every twist, leak, decision, and fallout. Subscribe and hit the notification bell now so you never miss the next explosive update in the Zuma repayment saga.